o'clock, and welcome. It is Wednesday, December 29th. I'm Paul. I'll be your host tonight here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And welcome to our Wednesday night midweek Oasis service. It's a special Wednesday night indeed. We have a wonderful speaker. We've had a wonderful meditation. And I got some things to tell you. It's kind of an interesting Wednesday. But first, I can't start without remembering Richard and say, hello, church family, just as he always said. So we welcome everyone that's joining us tonight. So what is Oasis? Why do we call it Oasis? And we do that because this is a place where we can be together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between our Sundays. We present our Wednesday night services in somewhat of a OCSL version of a satsang style, with the intention that our gathering is informal, intimate, and rich. That's our intention for tonight. Sometimes we just have a speaker speak for about 20 minutes and we open it up for that rich discussion, as informal and intimate as it may be. And sometimes people vary a little bit and do a little bit of a different presentation. Our speaker tonight is going to deviate a little bit, and it's going to be kind of a classroom sharing combination that he'll be doing tonight. Christopher Brown is joining us as our speaker tonight. But why is it a special Wednesday night? Well, first of all, let's talk about what's been regular for the last year, which is our annual theme, Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. And the monthly theme for December is the journey for becoming. The journey for becoming. But this Wednesday is ending our journey because this is the last Wednesday of the year here at the Oakland Center. As well, it's the last formal religious service, spiritual service for the year. And I'm honored to be your host all year long this year. And I'm kind of glad that 2021 is ending because we have a new annual theme and a new monthly theme that I'm going to introduce. But before that, I want to reflect a little bit on why December was so special. December 1st was a Wednesday, and tonight is the 5th Wednesday. And so our December theme started with us, and it's ending with us here on Wednesday night. So I'm grateful. And I want to have a quick review of who was here in December, because I'm so grateful. Our month started off, as I said, on the 1st with Practitioner Judith Roberts, who always does a fabulous job and leaves us a little nugget to take with us to last till her next time that she comes back. Then Lucian Baker. What can you say about Lucian? Fabulous practitioner, gifted speaker. Then Zoe DeMuro graced us and started the vegetable wars that night. I think will go down in history as one of our greatest Wednesday night events. I encourage you to go back and look at all of these Wednesday nights. Constance held Chapman, also a practitioner as well as Zoe, held our solstice service and led us in probably one of the quickest, deepest visioning episodes that was very profound and welcomed in our winter solstice period. And no 5th Wednesday would be complete without the presence of Christopher Brown. And I'll tell you more about him, but this has been a very, very giving group of folks in this month of December with all the holiday activities at the center. And every Wednesday is grounded by the presence of our acting senior minister, Reverend Jerry Carter. So I'm really, really happy and full of gratitude tonight as we move into the next year. So what is next year going to bring us? It's going to bring everyone I spoke about. They're all coming back at one time or another. We have great speakers like Reverend E and some other specials that come and visit regularly. And we have a bunch of ministerial candidates like Elena and Teresa that will be speaking on a regular basis. So we have a lot of fun to look forward to next year. So that's why it's appropriate that our new 2022 annual theme will be Wonder, Wonder Everywhere. Wonder, wonder everywhere. And a lot of that wondering and appreciation will be taking place on Wednesday nights. Our new monthly theme for January is Living Everyday Wonder. Practical thoughts will be coming up, I'm sure. I'll tell you more about what's coming on Sunday during the announcements. Reverend Jerry's speaking on that topic, by the way. I'll give you a little preview on that. If you're joining us for the first time, we welcome you. We're so glad you're here. If you like what you see, I think you will. You found our webpage. Look in the lower left-hand corner. There's a place you can submit your email address. You can stay better connected to us. Once you do that, you'll get a weekly highlight of what's coming up through our Village News newsletter. If you do that little addition and add your name and email address there. Please note that you will be muted by our Zoom team that works behind the scenes. If you haven't done so already, your camera and your microphone, that's to improve the quality of the transmission. And please stay for the announcements at the end. We will be reading the covenant statement, calling in our new senior minister, and it's a great practice we've added to the Wednesday night services that's already done on Sundays. So I'm honored that we can do that here and in this very special space we call our Wednesday night midweek oasis. So it's time to begin, and the only way we begin at the Oakland Center is with prayer. And tonight we have a very special person opening us up in prayer, and that's Peggy Cotton. She's a member of the Advanced Consciousness Studies class. So Peggy, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so everybody, let's just relax into our chairs. Just feel with that deep breath, the presence of God within. For there is only one power, one presence, one light of all light, and that light is in me as it is in every single one of you right here and right now. That's the truth. And it's from this truth that I speak my word. For I know and I'm aware of the beauty that is going to come forth from this wonderful satsang session this evening, that there is a message here for every single one on this call tonight. For there is no mistake that the presence of each of you is here. It is divinely guided and directed. It is in your being, for it is your being that constitutes your doing. And so you have done just as you have been divinely guided to do and to be present. And I'm so grateful. It is with full gratitude, just bubbling over tonight for the presence of Christopher Brown and all that he brings, and the presence of all of you and all that you bring as well. And with this gratitude, I say, and so it is. And thank you.
And so it is. Thank you, Peggy, so much. Beautiful way to start our service tonight. I have the esteemed honor of introducing our speaker tonight. He's very special to me. He's a personal friend, a mentor, and just an all-around good guy for everybody. And let me tell you why. He's a practitioner here for many, many years. As well, he's the co-facilitator with his wife, Susan Urquhart Brown, who did our meditation tonight. So it is a team family effort. Team Brown tonight, y'all. Yay. Susan and Christopher lead a very wonderful Power of Presence international workshop and retreat offering that they do. That was where I first met Christopher and Susan, and I'm so glad I went because I learned so much and I'm grateful. Also, they work together at home where they hold a monthly gathering of independent researchers, and we call it the Saturday Circle. And that's been meeting for over a decade. Now, you would think with all of this activity, Christopher and Susan, with Susan, you heard earlier, late in the fall, and it took me 30 minutes just to go over her resume, which is so full. You would think they would be busy, but not Christopher. Nope, not busy enough. He's got to go and speak regularly at the Home of Truth in Alameda, where he's in great demand, and the Brentwood Unity Center. So he's on the circuit speaking. In addition to that, he keeps me in line. Now, that's not an easy thing to do, but I give him credit. It's not easy. Everybody gives me a lot of credit for what goes on here in the facilities realm, but I don't do it alone because he co-leads the facilities management team with me. Let me tell you about what he brought this year. He brought a lot of the engineering and design and the implementation of that beautiful front entrance we get to drive through. He supported my vision on that from beginning to end. It would not have been possible without him. So when you drive through there, think fondly of Christopher Brown, because he's the reason it's standing there. Secondly, he also, along with Dorothy, who's on the call today, pushed me and prodded me and guided me and supported me, kept me fed. And Christopher did a lot of work for 5 months in our renovation. When you walk through the center, once you get through that gate, look at the front lobby where he installed a new sliding door. Look at what him and Susan did in the social hall, taking down the cork board, and their son painting the high peaks, and in the social hall 60 feet in the air, stuff I couldn't do myself. Christopher is behind me on every activity here at the center. Make sure I do the right thing engineering wise. He is truly the professor of the physical universe. We are so blessed not only to have him speak tonight, but all the work that he does behind the scenes that he doesn't get all the credit that he deserves. Many years of keeping this place beautiful and fit. So Christopher, I dedicate our closing Wednesday to you because you've earned it, buddy. You've earned it in spades. So with that, I turn it over to you. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. So tonight's topic is finding light within the darkness. And if you're to boil down all the kind of darknesses into 2 big categories, you're going to find that there is internal darkness and external darkness. External darkness is when there's no light. You can't see. It's pretty easy. Internal darkness is kind of like the dark night of the soul, where you're groundless, where you're desperate, where things aren't going your well. You could be struck with a huge illness or break your hip, go figure, where you're really thrust into really looking at what's going on. What are these dark times in our life? There was a Zen master in old Japan, wonderful Zen master, and his meditations were being disturbed by this cat who always knew when meditation would come by the gong. And when the gong was hit, the cat would howl. And after a while, the master got upset about that and said, you're going to have to tie that cat up so we can enjoy our meditation and have some quiet. Well, from that day on, every meditation, the cat was tied up. As the years went by, the new cat arrived. Well, they tied that cat up too. And as years continued to go by, the master died. They still tied up the cat. Years and years went by, and that monastery was known, that zendo was known for its wonderful tie the cat meditation. So I bring that story up is that we start out with the best of intentions to do the right thing, to make things good. And then we lose sight of that. And I think we've lost sight of the value of darkness. You know, we're all about the light, but who talks about its lowly sister, the darkness? And perhaps there is something very powerful and unseen that needs to be appreciated and needs to be explored. If you think of the evolution of the planet now, this planet is always half in darkness, all forever. Since the inception of this planet, as it spins around, as it goes through its orbit, it's always half in darkness. So we evolved with this day, night rhythm. We're part of that rhythm. And we've evolved with the senses of the seasons, and we've evolved and adapted. So how is it that we're a little bit surprised every winter when it gets really dark outside? Oh no, it's the dark again. Oh no. At least that's the way I interpret it. I don't like the dark. I don't like the cold, and especially this time of year. But this time of year is a little bit different because I'm really exploring what story am I telling about this darkness? What is the story that we tell, each of us, you can look right now, that we tell about darkness? One of the common stories is darkness is dangerous. It's scary. You might think back as a little kid, the first time, I don't know if you slept with a light on or not. Well, I wouldn't, anyway, some of us did. The thing is we have fears about darkness. We can't see, it's unsafe, we could fall, there's danger, there's evil, there's monsters. In other words, our imagination takes the best of us. When we can't see and use our eyesight, we become scared. We rely so much on our eyesight that we're not relying on our other senses that we could explore. Perhaps there's some power in what we call being present to the darkness. And whether that be the internal psychological darkness or the external darkness. I was at Trader Joe's and the checkout girl was saying, like I said before, it's like, I hate this time of year. You know, it's Christmas, it's all about light and stuff, but no, it's all about darkness. And every year I fight it. Why is it that we fight this if it's not a resistance to our story that we have and we've developed about darkness? I was in the prayer room and a practitioner came, a participant, congregant came in and said, I've lost my faith. I can't stand the world the way it is right now. She was in a dark interior space. I can't stand the fact that there's the climate crisis, there's rampant racism, there's COVID, there's lockdowns, there's Republicans that are just demonizing everything. I can't take it anymore. And I asked her, what can't you take anymore? Is it your idea that it should be different? Or is it the reality exactly the way it is? What's your idea? What's your story about reality as it's unfolding in this moment? Can we actually stop and take a quick look around, that 180 look? Who's making the problem? Who's creating the anxiety? And that's always easy for me to look. It's always me. I am the source of my anxiety by my interpretation of what's going on in the outside world. That's a tough one because we love to blame the other. We love to blame Republicans or the Democrats or the light or the dark or whatever it is that we blame. We love to blame that. And it gives us solace. It gives us meaning to blame somebody else. But do we ever take the time to really stop and to see, what is it? What is it about my lack or loss of control that has me in a tailspin. And I think this darkness is all about control. What happens in darkness is I am no longer in control. I am in the unknown, whether it be internal or external darkness. I don't know if I'm going to survive this illness. I don't know if I'm going to find my way home in the dark. I've lost my way. And these are pretty scary times. But if we look, we have evolved. What has evolved stronger is love, caring, and connection has evolved stronger than greed and selfishness and self-interest. We wouldn't have evolved unless there was something more powerful than our ideas, than our thoughts about things like darkness. So we're going to move into one of our first exercises. And this is where you get a chance to share with a wonderful partner, and Peggy's going to set us up in pairs. And you're going to be talking to your wonderful partner for about 8 minutes. And during that time, I'd like you to share with your partner kind of the first time you realize it's dark out there and it's scary, and I might need mommy or I might need whatever. Kind of the first time that you really got that this is scary. So we're looking at that primary stories that we have about darkness. And I'd like you to share some of those primary stories about darkness where your imagination ran wild, like mine did. And mine ran wild in terms of there was monsters under the bed. I don't know about you, but there were monsters under my bed. So this is your opportunity to share. First time you really became afraid, about your imagination, and also about the stories you tell about darkness or challenge or not being in control. All the same thing. I hope you get the idea. Peggy's going to break you out, and you're going to have a wonderful time with your partners.
You did great.
But Peggy, I found where I could put myself into a room, so I joined a room.
Yeah, I saw you do that because I was about to move you. And I said, oh, she just did it.
I didn't know anyway.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
Mhm.
I didn't know
Oh,
you
that
did
was cool. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong. Everything is all right.
First
Yes.
off, have you thanked your wonderful partners for sharing?
Yes.
So
Thank
good.
you, thank you, thank you.
I was supposed to leave the
Thank you,
breakout.
my
room.
partners. Oh,
Thank you.
Hi,
Louis.
Judy.
And Judith.
Oh, my.
I want to thank
Oh.
Eileen for sharing her goodness with me. I want to thank her. This is
Thank you.
Dorothy.
Okay. So who would like to share what they discovered maybe about their story, of the story that you didn't make up yourself? The story just arose and you're operating out of that story. And maybe talk about your imagination. What did you learn about that, or what did you see about that?
Can I go?
Oh,
Sure.
go.
Yeah, please.
Somebody's trying to speak in the background.
No.
Please,
no.
go. Go ahead.
Zoe used the phrase being afraid of inside the house and not outside the house. And I had to think about that for a minute, because in my coming up years, it was the same thing. I was more afraid of more dissatisfied with my elders than I was with the people on the street, the church population, the priests and the nuns. I knew where they were coming from, because I know they had made their own choices to get where they were. But I had a real issue with my elders because nobody wanted to tell me what was going on with the family and why it was so disjointed. And a lot of that fear had to do around the fact that I was, from very, very young, I knew I was gay or homosexual or whatever you want to classify it as, but I didn't feel safe to speak to anyone about it.
Mm.
So my fear was inside, not outside,
Mhm. Right.
like Zoe said. And it was only when I allowed myself to leave the island is when I began to feel some sense of safety
Mhm.
and some sense of security. And part of that had to do with my grandmother's mentality. Where she got it from, I don't know. She used to tell us when we were young that if she was told we did something wrong, we'd be punished for it, which was usually beating.
Hmm.
And if she found out it was the truth, we'd get punished again.
Wow.
So it stuck in my head, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So yeah, most of my fear in terms of the darkness came from inside the house, not outside the house.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Who else would like to add, to share? Just raise your hand and go for it, or unmute yourself and go for it. Okay.
Go.
Sage.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Hey.
Right?
Sage.
Hi.
Brian.
I I had trouble recalling these moments because they're not my favorites. And but I honor your capacity to like have these conversations, and I know that it's really important for our psyche. So I really did the practice, and it was fascinating to me because I had a partner who said, "Oh, I don't have any stories." And so, it made me think like, "Oh, wow, can you imagine not having these stories?" And the truth of it was that he had, thank you for changing my name. Tech team, you're amazing. It was interesting that he had this kind of recollection, but the recollection of it was different because he had processed it and metabolized it, which I think this activity helps us do. And so I just believe that that's a beautiful gift of this exercise. So thank you. And thank you, my partner, who was so open with me and who allowed me to be open about these difficult things too.
Okay. Is there anybody else before we move on?
Maureen French has
All right.
her hand up.
Okay, great.
Hi.
Hi.
So my partner was Christopher, and we were talking about. I at first said that I didn't have really anything, but then of course, my brain remembered things. But it was about what Luis said. Nice to see you. I'm glad to see you're doing well. Yeah. What he said was, it was an internal thing. Because I was fearful in my home, I didn't feel safe being myself. Otherwise I would get, treated negatively basically. But how that's transferring into my life now is being able to distinguish between what story is in my mind is a false alarm or a true alarm. So the internal experience that I had as a child has created a story. And when you're experiencing it with someone else, I'm trying to like negotiate being a human, that story continues in my mind at least. And I'm learning to use discernment and to delineate them. However, it can be very challenging. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. We're going to move on now. Then we have another exercise. What I want to talk about is the gold that we can find in the darkness. If you think about a gold mine, the gold is hidden in the darkness. It's down there. You
I'm
have to
leaving.
remove.
I'm leaving. Just leave.
The gold is in the dark. And I think that's a metaphor for the spiritual path. People that really want to discover what is this all about, who am I, are not satisfied with looking on the easy, looking on the surface, because that's the easy. It's like, what is really down there that's hidden? And that's probably the best metaphor for the darkness is there is gold down there if you want to do the work to remove it, to actually discover the stories, to discover what is real, what is that's driving me. The problem is you get stuck with tying up the cat because we've been doing it for so long that we just naturally do it until we really take a look and to see, whoa, maybe there's something more here. So this next exercise would be kind of like untying the cat. What is there? What is really behind it? What are the stories I'm telling myself about this darkness? And what's my habit of dealing with it? Now, gold in the darkness could be that when you face your fear, when I face the boogeyman underneath my bed, because I would run across, jump from the rug onto the bed so I wouldn't get close to underneath the bed because this way the monster couldn't grab my feet. I am the only one, I'm sure, but you get the idea that we have this imagination and we do these silly things until one day you finally have had enough. Or maybe you don't, maybe it's still running you, but for me, I had enough and it's like, I looked under there and I couldn't find the boogeyman. And from that point forward, it was kind of like there was no more Santa Claus, there was no more boogeyman. It was like, I faced my fear. Now, this isn't a one-time thing. This is over and over and over again because we have,
Right.
each time is fresh and new. So when we take a look at what gold have we found in facing our boogeyman, when facing the darkness and actually standing in the darkness, what's going on here? I know there's gold here. I know there's gold. This is what we're looking for, is that realization. Because every time we look and we absolutely find, if we persist. But if you dig just a few little teeny holes, you're not going to find the depths. You actually need to really go in and mine. So what you're going to be doing in this next little breakout exercise was recalling some of the gold you've discovered. What have you discovered about yourself when you really stand in the face of your fear? When you really stand solid in your fear, in the darkness, you don't deviate, you stand solid. What did you find? And if you're having a challenge right now, a big challenge, as some of us are, how are you able to stand in the face of this darkness? How are you doing with that? And if you might be willing to share that with your partner. So what goal have you discovered? What challenge are you working on right now? And how are you doing? You got that? Peggy's going to break us out and you're going to have another wonderful partner. Quickly, would like to hear from a few people, what was some of the gold that you discovered when you actually stand and face uncertainty, when you face the darkness, the unknown? Yes.
Eileen,
I basically, when I actually stay in the darkness and stand there and don't run away, it's almost always never as bad as my imagination has built it up to be. I mean, I can tell myself stories just unbelievable. And, they usually go towards the negative without, and more times than not, without all the information. So, it's usually just never as bad if I can stay there. But, I think I've been conditioned to run and circumvent, what's uncomfortable. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Luis, you're muted. Go ahead. There you go.
What happens when we decide to come out the dark and experience a new experience? A broken tooth. When I was young, I went to visit my brother when he was out here at one afternoon, and I had been noticing that he had one of his front teeth was broken. But I refused to ask him what happened because, I didn't want to press him for private personal information. So he looked at me, he said, "You know how this got broken, don't you?" And he pointed to his mouth, and I said, "No," because I had made up 20 stories as to playing badminton, basketball, or, some of the other physical things he used to do. He said, "No, you did it." I looked at him like, "What?" He said, "Yes. When we were young and growing up, I used to tease you and tease you and tease you. And one day you kept telling me to stop and I wouldn't stop. And you picked up one of those old metal roller skates and just whacked me with it." I thought that was hilarious in a sense, because the light came on and the darkness was gone. And I had never before thought about myself from the point of view of being strong enough emotionally to actually lash out against another person.
Mm.
Newness is following me down this road of hospital bed. I'm now having to look at what I say and what I do and being very careful with what I accept as the truth. I actually believe I tripped over that cone that Sunday because I felt they weren't supposed to be there. But instead of speaking to Paul or Reverend Jerry about making changes, I decided to leave it alone and let the universe take care of it. When the universe took care of it, he took care of me too. Because I didn't think it was the platform's fault. I loved the idea of the platform, even though the difference in height wasn't a great deal. I just didn't feel comfortable with the cones being there because of how so close to them I've seen people walk by. And I figured if Paul would put up a tin strip around the first, the center and the left and the right about a third of the way down, so that the front of the camera stand will fall off, and then painted it so that it would be noticeable, that it would be better. But I didn't open my mouth, so I didn't open my mouth, so you never say, I'll open it for you. And a big ouch came out.
The big ouch.
Big ouch.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Louise.
So,
Thank
so
you.
now I'm dealing with the working through when I'm being acknowledging the truth of what I believe. When is it the truth, and how am I going to relate to the truth based on the individual situation, so that I can be truly authentic and honest, first with myself, then others. Thank
you.
you.
for that. Anybody else, just a quick, as we close out, just a quick little share, anything else that's burning? Your goal that you discovered? Okay. Quick wrap up. First off, thank all of your wonderful partners for the sharing and for the listening quality that you gave one another. And that the points are is that darkness is a part of life. It's the number one point. We evolved in day and night. So it's not, it's one coin with heads and tails, depending upon where you are. You can't separate night and day. We do, but it's a continuous movement, night, day, night, day, night, day. So I think one of the best things we can do is really just become comfortable, or even more comfortable with the darkness, that it is part of our life, that it is to be explored, and that there is gold there that we will find nowhere else but in that darkness. And I leave you with that, and thank you for such good work and for your attention.
Let's thank Christopher, everybody. Yay. Dealing with the light and the dark with Christopher Brown. Thank you, sir. So in essence of our time, I'm going to run through some announcements. Some are really important, so I ask you to stay with us. Peter, if you will. And here we go. On Sunday, January 2nd, Reverend Jerry Carter will be speaking on living everyday wonder. So join us physically and in person in the sanctuary, or watch the service on live stream or YouTube this coming Sunday. We do have in-person meditation at 10 a.m. and the service will start at 10:30. And please know that if you're joining us in person, we're all required to wear a mask inside all of the buildings, and we will continue practicing social distancing. Next Wednesday, January 5th, practitioner and ministerial student Elena Hutchinson will be delving deeper into our monthly theme of wonder. Meditation at 6:30 and service at 7. Our Wednesday services are going to continue in Zoom. It's Board of Trustees application time. Have you been a member in good standing for 2 years and have been thinking about serving the village in a new way? The nominations committee is looking for qualified candidates to run for the Board of Trustees at the annual meeting on March 4th. Applications are due to Deborah Jackson by December 31st. To check out the qualifications and responsibilities, download the application on the homepage of the website from the Village News, or pick up a copy on Sunday. CALM, the Compassionate Attention to Loss Ministry, will be meeting this Sunday at 12:45 in person and on Zoom.
No, that's 12:30, Paul.
What did I say? 12:45?
12:45.
Well, so due to circumstances beyond my control, I just read what's written. I'm changing it. Take 2. CALM, Compassionate Attention to Loss Ministry, will be meeting this Sunday at 12:30 in person. And
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, my friend. So you just wanted more airtime to advertise. They'll be discussing the idea grief is a beginning. What I wanted to stress is that this is a hybrid activity. You can be in person or you can join in Zoom, and the Zoom information is on the events page of our website. Thank you, Zoe, for playing along with me. Also coming up is the Vision Board Party, which will be held Saturday, January 15th in 2022, both in person and by Zoom. However, we can only have 30 people available and able to join in the social hall in person, but Zoom will be unlimited attendance. So register now. It's open on the events page. You can sign up to attend the event until all the seats in the room are taken, but the Zoom, you can also sign up to attend in Zoom. I believe there's no limit on that. It's a very important class leading us into 2022. DeBoer does a great job. So tell your friends, sign up online. So we're going to take a minute and read the new minister covenant together. If you would,
Paul?
yes.
Can we remind people about the peace meditation? Is that still happening?
We're
Well-
not sponsoring it at the center, in person or remotely, but the CSL is having one. I got an email about that. So you're right. We should have mentioned that in the thing. Centers for Spiritual Living is, Karen, are you still here?
Yeah, Karen's here. Unmute yourself, Karen.
Okay, but I'm not involved with it.
Okay, normally Karen and I host this every year with Louise and some others, but we haven't had it in person since COVID, Judith. So last year, we referred people to go to the CSL version at headquarters, and I did get an email that they're doing it, and I didn't know, Karen, if you got an email saying that they're doing it again this year.
Yeah, I read something, gosh, a couple of weeks or a month ago about that they're doing it, that they are. And I think they did it last year too, right? So
right. We referred to the center to the big house.
Yeah,
I
right.
call it.
Right.
So Judith, I can look for that email and forward it to you. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
and if anybody else wants to know more about it, let me know. But that would be normally that's held at midnight of 4 a.m. our time on New Year's Eve day. That's when it's normally held. Not on the 31st, but as just after midnight on the 31st at 4 a.m. So be aware of that. Judith, I'll look for that and get that out to you as soon as I can. And if anybody else wants it, just contact me. Y'all know where I'm at. And I'll see if we can't get something on the website about that too, between now and then. Judith, remind me if you don't get something by tomorrow. Okay. Note on my computer. So let's just take a breath. Please follow along. Don't read out loud. Just follow along. It'll move faster. My new minister's sacred covenant prayer. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life, that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to reveal spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit. For it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself, for I am inspiring unity and diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community with the power of love. I am engaging the community in building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening family consciousness. As now I accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious. And so it is, Ashe. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me with that very special ritual and sacred process. And as we continue to move, I want to take a moment to recognize our offering. And Peter, if you could bring up the slide as I pass the digital collection plate from square to square. Please affirm with me. This gift I give
is God in action. It does work
in the world and blesses creation. And so it is. So just know that your gifts that are given and received and then put out into these gates and then come back out of these gates into the community where we build a beautiful center together with your fine donations of time, treasure, and talent. So how can you share that treasure? You can go to the website where everything lives, press the donate button for credit cards, or you can mail it to the address that's in that second space, or you can text it to 510-327-3431, or you can use Zelle for those that are using that process, giving at oaklandcsl.org. And the fifth and kind of cool new way that we're doing it is by joining us at service if you're comfortable. We have offering baskets that will graciously and gratefully receive your offering. So I bless our offering. I know it's good. I know it's great. And it blesses us and it continues to circulate and do great things in the world and in our lives. So with that spirit of gratitude, I want to thank some folks that helped make this evening possible. First, Susan Urquhart Brown for doing a lovely meditation. Susan, thank you so much. I want to thank Reverend Jerry for always being here on Wednesday nights. That's huge. Thank you for being the spiritual anchor that we need so much. Thank you for supporting me and the team behind me, because they need all the help they can get to make me look good and sound good. Trust me. And some of it's spiritual help. Some of it's a couple of hours of therapy. But in addition, I have the fabulous hostess with the mostest, Peggy Cotton, behind the scenes. All the way up in Portland is Peter Gum. Right at home in Oakland is Alice Herndon, as well as doing a phenomenal job with our PowerPoints and filling in for our beloved Constance while she's on vacation. I want to give a special shout out for administration support from John Russell. I think I got everybody on our list. Peggy, I didn't forget anybody, right? And then finally, but mostly, the moral support of Zoe DeMuro. He supports Wednesday nights fully and is always available to help. And last but leastly, thank you, Christopher. Last and not leastly, but firstly, Christopher, thank you so much for sharing your gift with us tonight. You're wonderful. We're blessed to have you here, and I'm grateful. Every time you walk through those gates, folks, Christopher's handprints are all over it.
And we're blessed for you, Paul.
Huh?
And we're blessed for Paul.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, guys. I'm blessed that you bless me. Trust me. I have a hard time with myself looking in the dark these days.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you all. So at this time, we're going to end our service. Peggy, you want to push the button, or Alice?
I'll be happy to. All right. Is everybody ready? 3.
No, we need to do the recording.